In the 10th chapter of the book of the Hebrews, the letter to the Messianic Hebrews, it was Shaul who said that the feast of the Lord are prophetic shadow pictures of good things to come. And he's then went on to say that we are not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together as a manner of some is. And even though we are right at the end of the time of the Second Temple period, the encouragement, do not forsake the assemblies. These sanctified, these holy convocations. And even though the temple's been destroyed, the Levitical priesthood is in disarray, yet the believers of the Messiah can still enjoy the feast that we were commanded to celebrate forever. It is now the end of the 6th day. This Sabbath, at the end of the Sabbath, will begin, according to the astronomically and agriculturally corrected biblical Hebrew calendar, it will begin the 15th day of the 7th month. It will be the Feast of Sukkot. So now the sun is set, and it is now time for Shabbat Night Live!
It's a special Shabbat Night Live from Denver, Colorado, with your host, Michael Rood. Join Michael and his guests from the House of Israel in Charlotte, North Carolina, Arthur Bailey. Children's educator, Mrs. Noah. Musical guest, Joe Vogels. And Anais Abelez. Now, here he is, direct from the Mile High City, Michael Rood.
Oh, Shabbat Shalom, Torah fans. Well, good Sabbath and welcome to all the followers of the Messiah here in the grand ballroom of the Crown Plaza here in Denver, Colorado, and watching via cyberspace all over the world in over 160 countries. This is the beginning of our Chronological Gospels weekend. This is the beginning of the Feast of Sukkot for the year 2013. Welcome to all of the Torah fans out there. Thank you for joining us for the leaven-free gospel of the kingdom. Here there is no rabbinic takanot, there's no Babylonian sun worship, and there is no papal bull. This is a no man-made religion zone. We are contending for the faith once delivered to the saints, and with us as our co-host tonight, we have the congregation leader for the House of Israel Messianic Congregation, the fellowship in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is back there getting ready to celebrate the Feast of Sukkot. We have with us Arthur Bailey, ladies and gentlemen. Arthur. Well, Arthur, thank you for being out here with us to start things off. And I know back in Charlotte, back in your congregation back there, you've got things getting ready. They're ramping up back there.
Ramping it up.
That's right. Every day of the week, you've got something different going on?
Yes, we're doing it. We're meeting in the assembly and from house to house.
From house to house.
From house to
From
house.
sukkah to sukkah in people's
sukkah to sukkah.
backyards.
Absolutely.
All over the area of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we hope that all of you are enjoying that very same thing out there who are watching in on Shabbat Night Live. You know, this really is the most precious time afforded to the follower of the Messiah is the Feast of Yahovah.
Oh, it's important.
And we both grew up kind of immersed in the Christian world. You were the pastor of, 5 different denominations.
Yeah. And had no clue.
And had no clue, that's right. PhD, Doctor of Divinity, been through all of the rungs of the ladder to success. And had no idea what the Feast of the Lord were all about. So I guess you had some kind of awakening that took place.
Oh, yeah. Huh? Absolutely. As many of us had a rude awakening and hasn't looked back.
Well, we are now being broadcast on live stream, and we're going to announce it right now. We're going to be on live stream, high definition at messianic.tv. And so we invite all of you around the world to call up your friends, your enemies, your neighbors, and have them join us. High definition all weekend long. Ted Clayton, who is the Director of Ministry Development and Television, right up here in front, he has posted on the internet what our schedule is, when we're going to be broadcasting, so people can join us the entire weekend. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is Yeshua's 2015th birthday. And so here we are. Well, it's not quite his birthday yet, because his birthday fell on the first day of the Feast of Sukkot, when the Word was made flesh and tabernacled, or Sukkoted, among us, as an intermediate fulfillment of the Feast of the Lord. And so when the sun sets at the end of tomorrow night, that will begin the high Sabbath of the Feast of Unleavened Bread at the beginning, and that is the day Yeshua was born. And then the 8th day, the last great day, Hoshana Rabbah, or Shemini Atzeret, that is when he was circumcised on that day, on the Sabbath, so the Torah would not be broken. Of course, Yeshua quoted that very incident concerning his own life, that he was circumcised on the Sabbath day.
Now,
and so
wait
it was
a minute.
a high Sabbath.
This is September.
What's that?
This is not December.
No, I'm sorry. This begins, you're right, this is not December. December 25th is actually when Nimrod, the sun god, was reincarnated as little baby Tammuz, okay? At the time of the winter solstice on the Babylonian calendar, before the procession of the equinoxes that now bring the winter solstice to December 20th to 21st, well, it used to be December 25th, and that is why all of the pagan sun gods' birthdays are all celebrated on December 25th. There's one day I will guarantee you Yeshua is not born. December 25th. That's right. So we are beginning our campaign, our worldwide, international, may I say intergalactic campaign right now to get Christ out of Christmas. We are getting Christ out of Christmas. We're getting the Messiah out of Christmas, and we're getting him back in the feast where he belongs, which is a remembrance every year of his birth when he tabernacled among us. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He's going to come back and tabernacle with us again for 1,000 years. And when that 1,000 years is completed, and after the final judgment, it says that New Jerusalem is going to come down out of heaven, on the new earth, and it says that God the Father and the Son are going to tabernacle with us forever. It will be a forever Feast of Tabernacles. So, this is just a rehearsal. And so when people say, well, do I have to keep the Feast of Tabernacles? No, you can go directly to hell. You don't have to. I mean, this is a rehearsal. You don't like fellowshipping with believers? You don't like tabernacling with the Messiah? I mean, what's wrong with you? So this is where it all begins, and this is what we can all enjoy. Well, tonight, of course, we're on Roku on your television. We're on YouTube. We're on the Rood Awakening channel, and also on the roodawakening.tv website in high definition. And, of course, all of these broadcasts around the world in over 160 countries is made available because of our ambassadors, the Ambassador Club members who have pledged at least $100 a month to help us get on the air and stay on the air and to be around the world. So if you're not a member of the Ambassador Club, this is the time to sign up for it, okay? We set it at $100 a month because most people are making at least $1,000 a month, and so that's like a tenth of 1,000. So if you're making at least $1,000 a month and want to help out, this is a good opportunity. And thank you to all of our ambassadors who are making this available. So tonight, Shabbat Night Live, we have an update on the astronomically and agriculturally correct biblical Hebrew calendar. We have our post-Christian America feature, our top 10 list of what to say to someone who is 2015 years old. And because of that, we're doing our elderly viewer mail from cyberspace and beyond, our Israel update, and I think we've got an update, our Rood review, and our special guest, Mrs. Noah, And Hannah, who is here, who is taking care of all of our children, the Children's Fellowship, and teaching them by way of the Feast of Sukkot. And our international recording artist, Joseph Vogels, is going to be with us tonight. Tonight, our teaching is going to be on the chronological Gospels, because right here it is, for the first time available to the world, the chronological Gospels, the life and 70-week ministry of the Messiah. Tonight's teaching, very special because we've got about 30 special guests who are going to be helping us with part of this. It is The Vice of Linear Chronology, or How to Squeeze the Gentile Hockey Foddy Out of the Bible. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at Feast of Sukkot 2013, celebrating Yeshua's 2015th birthday. And I was thinking, what do you say to someone? How do you greet them? What types of questions would you ask a person who is 2015 years old? So tonight, we represent our latest top 10 list. Top 10 things to say to someone who is 2015 years old. Okay, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Number 10. You don't look a day over 2014. Number 9. Do you know Mel Brooks? I guess you had to see the movie. Number 8. In dog ears, most people would be dead. Number 7, are your ears still ringing from the Big Bang? Number 6, you still have a lot on the ball, you're just too tired to bounce it. Number 5, is it true that your birth certificate says expired? Number 4, when you were born, the Dead Sea only had a head cold. Number 3, if the waiter asks how you like your steak, tell him pureed. Number 2, at your age, I hope you still remember that you're supposed to come back. And number 1, with eyes like a flaming fire, hair as white as wool, a golden blonde tan, and a voice like the sound of roaring seas, you are doing great for a 2015-year-old. Oh, well, I'll tell you, we have, even though Chaim Goldman is not with us, you still see his signature on Shabbat Night Live with our top 10 list here. So. Well, Arthur, very excited to have you here. You're going to be here with us all weekend long. And we're going to be having some special musical guests. And Joe Vogels is also going to be teaching. He's going to be with us as a guest a little bit later on the show. But let's talk about our calendar for just a minute. And my goodness, where is the calendar? Today's date on the pagan calendar is September 20th of 2013. That means we are on the 14th day of the feast, of the 7th month. And so at the end of this day will begin the Feast of Sukkot. And here we are at the Crowne Plaza, Denver International Airport Convention Center. And we are going to be here for the entire weekend, inviting you to join in with us. I want to let everyone know that you're invited to join us on the first and third Sundays of every month for the Men's Fellowship, the Elders at the Gate that meets at the Rood Awakening headquarters. We have Ladies' Night, and that is every Wednesday following the first and third Sundays of the month. And it looks like I'm being evicted from Ladies' Night. The ladies are having such a good time, they don't even want me showing up anymore. but I think I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, it is ladies' night.
Yeah, it is ladies' night. So, okay. So that's tonight. Men, watch the children. Your wives will love you for it. That's kind of a clue for the women, too. Men, watch the children. And tonight we have a special America designed by geniuses, run by idiots. Here it is. No, I don't think. Well, Arthur, we've had some very serious stuff take place just this last week. We have another situation in which we have a mass murder situation that's happened in America. And this is why this is part of post-Christian America. Yeah. Because this is exactly what you would expect if it's survival of the fittest, if there is no God to whom anyone would answer to, and that the Creator has been taken out, even though that's the basis of America, he's been taken completely out of our school system.
Yeah, and it's sad. I mean, it's really sad because people have absolutely nothing to restrain them in the world.
No restraint whatsoever. And so this is a sad situation, but we've got some political ambulance chasers that are doing everything they can. You know, lawyers, former lawyers, well, I guess they're still lawyers. I think our president probably still is a lawyer. And, literally a political ambulance chaser. Because now you have someone who has done exactly what Joe Biden said to do. He says, you don't need an AR-15, you just need a shotgun. We have 2 shotguns at our house, use a shotgun. Well, it turns out that this is exactly what was used in Washington, D.C. Man used a shotgun. Now this does not work in the politically correct field to say he used a shotgun. And so what did they come out with? An AR-15, which is, it's just a semi-automatic. This is what the news is reporting, that they used this AR-15, a semi-automatic. But that really didn't play into their hand the way that they wanted it to, just a simple semi-automatic gun. They talk about it being automatic, but those are idiots who know nothing about an M16 or an AR-15. AR-15 is simply a semi-automatic, but then the FBI says, no, it was a shotgun. And so then CNN starts reporting it was an AR-15 shotgun. I mean, these people have no shame whatsoever. They got to have complete morons in the newsroom to even come up with something that ridiculous. But something that I think we need to understand about this is every single one of these mass murders has been done by someone who has been in psychiatric care and on psychotropic drugs. That is the issue. The same psychotropic drugs where a 54-year-old grandfather who can't sleep well is given a drug by his doctor. 2 weeks later, he takes a shotgun, shoots his daughter and his grandson and himself, and has no understanding why he did it. These mind-altering drugs, they are the part of every one of these mass murders that's taken place, except for the Muslim major that went jihad in Texas and was sentenced to death just recently. But ladies and gentlemen, why is it that we'll never see this brought about in the news media? Because every night the drug companies are running tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars of money through these media outlets, pushing their drugs, and if they take their money back and don't advertise anymore, these television networks would go down. Yeah. And that's why we will never hear the truth being told about this, that every year tens of thousands of people are committing suicide because they're taking psychotropic drugs. And this psychotropic drug that was being taken on this one, tradazone. Tradazone is a black box by the FDA, black box warning, suicide warning on it. And they know that it causes psychosis. psychotic episodes in people. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what is going on in epidemic proportions in America. So here we are, post-Christian America, no more common sense, and the media has been bought out by the drug companies. Even when the FDA tells us it'll cause suicide, they still are not going to admit it. And so every one of these episodes, you can blame it on the FDA, you can blame it on the drug companies, but you can't blame it on the shotguns that Joe Biden said to get as vice president. You can't blame it on the guns. You can blame it on the drug companies and the prostitutes in the media who will go for their bucks instead of reporting what's really going on. We live in a whorehouse in America, in the media, and this is where you're hearing it on Shabbat Night Live until it goes blank. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be right back with questions from cyberspace from our elder population right after a word for our sponsors, which are you people out there. And in here, all of you. Be right back.
After 40 years of labor, including 3 decades of restoring the ancient biblical Hebrew calendar, together with the experiences that accompany years of living in Jerusalem and the Galilee, Michael Rood presents the inspired gospel records in chronological order to advance you in your lifetime quest for truth. The chronological gospels piece together the life and ministry of the Messiah in a way no one has ever seen before. It reveals depth, beauty, and truth in the Word that could never be understood until it was put together to tell the story as it happened, complete and chronological. And now you can order your copy today. You can get the chronological gospels in 3 different ways. For your purchase of $64, you can order your own copy of the Chronological Gospels Bible. Or for your purchase of $117, you can receive the Chronological Gospels Essential Package, which includes the Chronological Gospels Bible, the Chronological Gospels 4 DVD set, Chronological Gospels Chart, or for your purchase of $347, you can receive the Chronological Gospels Scholars Package, which includes the Chronological Gospels Bible, the Chronological Gospels 4 DVD set, Chronological Gospels Chart, the astronomically and agriculturally corrected Hebrew Travel Calendar, Creator's Calendar DVD, Spring and Fall Feasts DVDs, Raiders of the Lost Book DVD, Hebrew Yeshua versus Greek Jesus, Who Was Your Unauthorized Covering DVD, Mystery of Iniquity, Great Secret of Solomon's Temple DVD. If you purchased each item separately, you would pay over $444. Call today to receive your copy of the Chronological Gospels Bible or package set. Don't miss your opportunity to be blessed in the ways of the Messiah. Call or visit our website today.
Welcome back to Shabbat Night Live. We're broadcasting live from the Denver Convention Center of the Crown Plaza. And as we are on our break, Arthur brought up something I found very interesting concerning the drug companies and all.
Yeah, Monsanto just had a major impact on the TED conference, and now
the TED conference is...
Well, the TED conference is probably the premier conference where individuals come and speak on cutting-edge inventions, things that are happening in technology and around the entire business world.
That's right. Very, very forward in the whole green movement.
Oh, absolutely.
And trying to get the planet back into equilibrium.
Yeah. Movers and shakers who come and speak. And now they have literally barred individuals of speaking against.
Wait, because Monsanto did what?
Well, Monsanto has had the impact, and they have supported TED, and TED now is saying that no one can come and speak against anything that Monsanto does. So it's influencing all of the speakers, and therefore they'll control what speakers speak on from this point forward.
There you go, people. The media's, the stranglehold has already taken place. You think you live in a free society. No, you have no idea. You know, if you think you're going to be told what Babylon is really doing, you don't understand Babylon.
Well, now, not everybody know what Monsanto does.
Oh, well, let's, I think if we said what they did, they'd probably buy the internet and shut us down. So we'll leave it for that now. Because, Arthur, right now we have letters from our elder population that have come in for Shabbat Night Live. And so I thought I'd read a few of these tonight for those of you out there, because again, this is Yeshua's 2015th birthday coming up on the first day of the week. And so it's good to hear from the elder population. I don't think anyone here is like anywhere near that old. But here's one. Dear Michael, I'm an 84-year-old senior, and my children have all agreed that it's time to put me in a nursing home. The average cost for a nursing home is $200 a day. I've checked in the rates for cruise ships, and I can get long-term discounts and senior discount price for $135 a day. That's going to leave me $65 for gratuities, which I estimate to be about $10 a day. I can eat as much as I want 24 hours a day. I can enjoy the sushi bar, food buffets, cafes, room service. I can order breakfast in bed every day of the week. I can swim in 3 or 4 swimming pools, use the workout room, enjoy movies and shows every night. I get free toothpaste, razors, soap, shampoo, free washers and dryers. I'll be treated like a customer, not a patient. An extra $5 in tips would have the entire staff scrambling to help me. I will get to meet new people every 7 to 14 days, and if my TV breaks down, a light bulb needs changing, or my mattress needs replacing, they'll fix everything and apologize for the inconvenience. I get clean sheets and towels every day without having to ask for them. If I were to fall in a nursing home and break a hip, I would have to rely on Medicare. But if I were to fall and break my hip on a cruise ship, they would most likely upgrade me to a suite for the rest of my life. Best of all, I get to see Alaska, South America, the Panama Canal, Australia, New Zealand, and when I die, they'll just dump me over the side at no charge. My question is, without a grave to open at the resurrection, will Yeshua have any trouble finding me in the ocean? I don't know. I'm going to have to give that whole thing a real good consideration here. Here's a gentleman, his name is Stan, for any ladies interested. Where can a Torah-observant man over 60 find a younger, good-looking woman who's interested in him? Well, Stan, try the bookstore under fiction. Dear Mr. Rood, I just celebrated my 104th birthday and I feel pretty good. What do I have to look forward to if I live another 10 years? I guess no peer pressure. Dear Mr. Rood, my wife and I celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary today. On the way home from dinner, my wife noticed a tear in my eye and asked if I was getting sentimental because of celebrating 50 wonderful years together. I answered her truthfully, no, I was just thinking about the time before we got married. Your father threatened me with a shotgun and said he'd have me thrown in jail for 50 years if I didn't marry you. Tomorrow I would have been a free man. Dear Mr. Rood, I'm an 84-year-old man whose life has been changed by your teachings. I recently went to the doctor for a physical, and a few days later the doctor saw me walking down the street with a gorgeous young woman on my arm. The doctor asked me how I was doing. I said, great, I just did what you told me. Get a hot mama and be cheerful. He said, I didn't say that. I said, you got a heart murmur and be careful. So those are our letters from our elderly viewers and supporters around the world. And so this is all for Yeshua's and 15th birthday. Well, we've got a lot of exciting things coming up, ladies and gentlemen. But first, we are going to have a brief message for our sponsors out there, and we'll be back with an update from our correspondent to Israel.
Around the world today, people are hungry for answers. They're asking, who am I? Is this all that I am? And praying to gods of wood and stone, who cannot hear and will not answer. Who will help them understand? As followers of the Messiah, we know the truth that sets men free, the truth about the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations.
On November 2nd, 2012, A Rood Awakening International began to take the word of the Messiah to over 150 countries around the world. Now you can partner with Michael Rood to sponsor one of these countries. Your sponsorship will help cover the cost of staying on the air in the country of your choice. Today, you can join the Ambassadors Club by sponsoring a country for as little as $100 per month or a one-time gift of $1,200.
I am sponsoring Marshall Islands.
We're going to sponsor Cyprus.
I'm sponsoring Canada.
Michael Rood's teachings are absolutely like nothing that we've ever experienced before.
This is joyous, and it's not just the joy, but you have that inner peace knowing that you're doing what Jehovah tells you to do.
If your life has been blessed, if you've been ministered to by this ministry, then we are asking you to step in and support this ministry.
I'm sponsoring Colombia because I love Michael Rood's ministry, and I hope God opens the door right where Colombia's heart is at, and I hope the word spreads.
What are the souls of your brethren worth to you? Call today with your monthly gift of $100 or a one-time gift of $1,200 and partner with Michael as a member of the Ambassadors Club. Together, we can bring it to the world.
We do really appreciate all of our Bring It to the World ambassadors. Because of their commitment, we are able to make commitments. And those commitments are to take the gospel of the kingdom to the entire world. We are not raising money to someday promise to take the gospel of the kingdom to the world. We're doing it right now. We are feeding you out there on television and those 500 people or so that have gathered together here in the Denver ballroom here at the convention center. And this is where it happens. We are preaching the gospel of the kingdom that Yeshua taught. We're not telling sweet baby Jesus stories. Okay? And even though this is the time of his birthday, if you checked in the book of Revelation, he's no longer an 8-pound, 6-ounce baby. His eyes are like fire. His hair is white as wool. When he speaks, the earth shakes and the heavens shake. And this is what he is doing now as he walks among the lampstands, as he walks among the assemblies and sees everything that is going on. We are taking the gospel of the kingdom of the world. We invite you to be a part of it because we have got just one life, and this is our opportunity. We have technology in our hands that the world has never had before, and we can do it, but we need help to make it happen. You can't have everyone just sitting on the couch, just watching the world go by. You've got to get involved and make this thing happen. It's your responsibility, and we are here to energize your ministries. Because you have a ministry, you have the ministry of reconciliation. You are an ambassador for the Messiah. And whether you do a good job or not depends on whether you've got the right information and that you are an accurate ambassador, because you are to faithfully and accurately represent what Yeshua taught, not what your denomination teaches.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
Well, Arthur, we're just releasing it right here, right now. We have the 11-episode, 10 DVD series on the Hebrews. This is the letter to the Messianic Hebrews, and this is what you have been waiting for. The book of Hebrews has been castigated by so many because they do not understand the temple service. This letter was written to Messianic Hebrews, Messianic Jews, just a few short years before the destruction of the temple. But the Yom Kippur sacrifice had already, the effectuality of that service had already been terminated the very year Yeshua was crucified, and they were scrambling for answers of what was going on because they saw that the miracle that happened year after year on Yom Kippur never happened again, beginning with the year of Yeshua's crucifixion and until the temple was destroyed. And that is what the book of Hebrews is dealing with, because there's obviously a change that has happened. A change in the temple service, a change in the law. But that change was not, thou shalt now commit adultery, thou shalt now murder. That's ridiculous. No, it's showing that something changed because something changed in the sacrifice. Something changed. That sacrifice and those sacrifices that were done year after year after year after year as a reminder that we owed the death penalty because we broke the covenant. When Yeshua paid for the covenant, then he could renew the covenant. Ladies and gentlemen, this series, it took me over 10 years of diligent study, going through the book of Hebrews hundreds and hundreds of times, and now you have the answers in your hands. You don't have to spend 10 years, you only have to spend 11 hours, and you can glean everything that it took me near over a decade to find. And so I highly recommend it. Get it now. The letter to the Messianic Hebrews, okay? Okay.
Amen.
Well, Arthur, every week we enjoy our update from Israel, so we're going to introduce Ariella Stegall with our Inside Israel report. Ariella, take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Kag Shemeyak. I'm Ariella Stegall with Inside Israel for Shabbat Night Live. The Israeli company LifeWatch Technologies is launching a unique smartphone. This smartphone will not only make calls, but it will have the capability to perform and analyze a variety of medical tests, sending the results not only to you, but to your doctor as well. LifeWatch 5, an Israeli-engineered phone, will help manage many chronic medical conditions such as diabetes. The design of this device is easy to use, whether one is 6 or 86 years old. The prime market is aimed towards children with diabetes. By the end of the year, LifeWatch 5 is expected to launch in the United States.
When you own a smartphone, the possibilities of the things you can do while you are out and about are virtually endless. You basically have the world at your fingertips. The healthcare spending gap is expected to grow, and providing better care for lower cost is a priority. Our modern lifestyle has a great impact on various medical issues. With the help of LifeWatch 5, for the first time in the history of healthcare, patients will be able to manage their illnesses from anywhere, anytime.
In semi-related news, over the years, Israel has been hospitable and, shall I say, kind to her bordering Arab neighbors. Medical aid exists between Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, where there is currently an abiding peace treaty. However, despite the absence of peace treaties, Israel also provides medical cooperation to other Arab countries. Throughout the years, women from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states receive treatment in Israel hospitals. Many travel via Cyprus into Israel to prevent their passports from being stamped. Iranian extremists call for death to Israel. Israel's response, save the life of your neighbor. I'm Arielle Stegall. Thank you for joining me once again for Inside Israel.
Well, you know, we see that in Israel, the greatest scientific and medical advancements are happening that are being spread around the world. And we see that, you know, so many names of these scientists and doctors are Cohen and Levy. You know, they are the priests of Israel that used to serve in the temple. They have always been the doctors, so to speak, in the land of Israel. And there's just something that the Spirit of the Almighty has blessed those children of Abraham with an Einstein intellect to help and to save and preserve life.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. And living in Israel, you see, you know, the Israelis, they have to have a guard at every door of every store. But the Arab population, they have no enemies because Israel is not their enemy. You know, Israel's the only nation. I mean, they have Arab Christians and Muslim Arabs that are members of the Knesset who help rule the nation of Israel. And Israel certainly gets a bad rap from the media, but Israel is the one place where the Arab world has the highest standard of living, the highest standard of education, and there are people, you know, as we saw just a few weeks ago, mothers and fathers that with their dying children, their wish was to help and to use the organs of their child so that an Arab child could live. And so we see a great compassion, and so it's always good to hear what's going on in the land of Israel.
Yeah.
Well, with the Feast of Sukkot now looming on the horizon, and with every Rood Awakening event when we all get together, the youngest generation that we have with us, they are the ones that really need to be brought up so that they know the truth from the very beginning. And with us each time we get together, we have a guest that has come all the way from the Ark at Uratu. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Noah. Oh, I see you brought Hannah.
I did bring Hannah.
Hannah's here. Well, Mrs. Noah, what is going on? I see the festivities in the other room. There are castles. What is happening over there?
Well, I think they're back there now singing the Hokey Pokey.
The Hokey Pokey?
Oh, that's right. I redid the words.
You redid the words?
Yeah, I did the words. We've got a little Hebrew word. You put your regal in, you put your regal out. You put your rosh in, you put your rosh out. You put your...
Oh, so you're teaching Hebrew?
Yes, and then you shout hallelujah, and turn yourself around. That's what it's all about.
Hallelujah.
So is Hannah enjoying her Hebrew lessons by doing the renewed Hokey Pokey?
Yeah, I always do. Yeah, she's really good with the kids too, and the kids love her. Tomorrow we're going to have a puppet workshop, right? Yeah. And we're going to let the kids write their own Bible scripts, and we're going to film them. And so we're just having a lot of fun. They're back there now putting branches together. Branches? Yes, branches. Oh, I'm missing out. I know you are. I'm sorry. But they're making branches. So we're going to put the branches in, the branches out, shake them and turn all around it. But it's a fun song. It's really, I got to tell you this, I came up with the words for this last year. And a young lady was teaching the children, the little kids, beginning Hebrew. And she loved the song. And she teaches Hebrew in a Jewish school. So she went back there and she loved the song, so she started teaching everybody this song. So she's going through the school, and here's this rabbi going down singing my song. But we
That's
have
it. You're teaching the whole world, even the rabbi.
Yeah, even the rabbi. But if you get a chance, just stop by and see the room. It is lovely. We have balloons and the castle and a maze for the kids to crawl through, and we're going to be making lots of stuff.
Now, I understand that you have a new booklet for the children for the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Sukkot in Hebrew.
We do, and we have some Hebrew songs in there. It's a workbook with lots of things to do. There's note paper in the back so that the kids can take notes while they're sitting in any service. And there's drawing, but also one of my favorite stories is in that book, and that's Ethan's Amazing Wonder Book. I love that story. It's all about the scriptures, the Bible talking to us. And if you read it, it talks to you. If you don't, it shrivels up. Well, as we were looking at it and talking about it, you realize that the book sits and talks to Ethan every day as it's shriveling up. But that book is Yeshua. He is the Word. He's the living Word. And if we listen to him, his Word grows in us. So it's one of my favorite stories.
Well, Mrs. Noah, thank you so much, and we invite you. Every time we have a get-together, we're going to be in Dallas for Hanukkah this year, and you're going to be with us in Dallas. So bring the children, bring the grandchildren, bring the whole family, and enjoy the festivities, and your children will be then, not only learn a little Hebrew that they can teach their parents, but they're going to have, start the cycle of learning, which is around the year. Every one of these feasts is an example for young and old alike in how to live according to the word of the Almighty.
And next year, if you ask us, maybe we'll even sing Hallelujah, Hokey Pokey. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to say goodbye to Mrs. Noah, but we have Annie and Laura, or is it Laura and Annie with us for the Rood Review? Laura and Annie, Laura, come on in.
And I'm Laura. And you're here in time for the Rood Review. Annie. Laura. We're live in Denver! Michael, do you hear that, Michael? I think we should write a book. Yes, we should. We're going to write a book, and we're going to call it Everything We Learned About Yahovah from Michael Rood by Laura and Annie. Laura and Annie. Okay, Annie, it's Sukkot. I think we should call a truce at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Laura and Annie. Okay, we agree. I have got big news. How big? Michael doesn't even know it's such big news. We released our ebook today on Amazon, the official ebook of the Chronological Gospels. We released it at 3 p.m., and as of right now, this is, in the category of Bibles, the number 4 book on Amazon. We want to be number 1. We're number 1. Okay, we had to do it. So we have in our hand a couple of Kindles. We wanted to show you that these are the ebooks of the Chronological Gospel on the Kindle. And they are just so lovely. And
you don't have 2 of those.
We have 2.
No, because Jeffrey Birch just got this one right here. And so, Jeffrey, you're here, right? Where's Jeffrey?
Where's Jeffrey?
There he is. All right. So Jeffrey gets his own Kindle here. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat with all the searchable features on this, and this is going to upgrade into the future to where we have video on it from the land of Israel to take you through a tour of Yeshua's entire ministry. That's what's coming as this upgrades through the years. This is the cutting edge. And right now, what, number 4?
Number 4.
Number 4. Let's take it to number 1. Get on Amazon. Order your Kindle, get it now, and we'll upgrade it with greater features in the years to come.
Enjoy it, Jeffrey.
Go ahead.
Now, I told some of you in registration, I just knew Michael was going to interrupt us. But if he's going to interrupt us, that's a good reason. So, yay. The Rood Review, starring Michael Rood. So if Michael blessed someone here, I think it's only fair I get to bless somebody. So here's what I want to do. I am all about the social media. So right now on the Chronological Gospels Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Chronological Gospels, we have a place that you can enter to win a Kindle with the Chronological Gospels already loaded on it. So everyone watching online, everyone here, go like that page, sign up to win it, and on Sunday night it ends, and someone will win this other one. So I don't get to keep this one either. So we're going to give it away. So I can't wait to see who wins.
We love blessing you. It's the least we could do.
Yes, we do. Well, that's all we've got tonight, folks. We just had all good news about the ebook. It's been a pleasure being here with you. Join us next week when Laura and Annie come to you with the Rood Review live from Charlotte.
Well, as I promised you, and as you saw in our pre-show, our international recording artist, Joseph Vogels, is here with us this weekend. He is going to be teaching. He's going to be ministering to us in song and word. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our guest from Down Under, Joseph Vogels. Joe. Arthur Bailey. Well, so good to have you here with us, Joe. I have so much enjoyed your music. And, I've got one of your CDs, Symbol Minded, in my player in my car. I play it all the time. I sing along with you. Have such a great time. And you brought some of your other work with you, too. And so tell us a little bit of your background and tell us a little bit about these albums that you have now on CD. Okay, hold on just a minute.
I could yell.
Something is now working here.
Here we go. Oh, very nice, very smooth. I like this one. Can I just put this in my pocket afterwards? Yeah, it took me a long time to get to my first album, Michael, so lots of other people recorded some of my songs, but in '97 I finally got to do my own, and we did it in a week, which I said was a miracle. The guy that produced it played for Shania Twain on her first world tour. And we did it in Sydney, Australia. And when we finished it, he said, "This is impossible. You can't do an album this good in 1 week. So that's a miracle." And he said, "Not only that, I'm prophesying, I'm telling you that these songs are going to be evergreen. And you're going to sell thousands of copies." And
so it's just evergreen. In other words, the inspiration keeps on carrying year after year after year.
It does.
It just doesn't get old.
No, it's amazing. My first album sells as well as my latest album. After 17 years, it's amazing. So 16 years, it's great. And then I did another album called Days of Noah, because that's where we're right in now. There's no doubt about it. We're in the days of Noah, and to read the news is shocking. Just what I read last night before I went to bed to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to fly here. Just that some of the news is so bizarre. Just to hear that Miley Cyrus was #1 on the internet for sales, and then a 17-year-old New Zealand girl, I'm from New Zealand, wrote a song, and it beat Miley Cyrus on the top of the internet charts, and her fans, Miley Cyrus's fans, gave her hate mail from all over the world, hating this 17-year-old girl for knocking Miley off the #1 charts. I mean, that's insane. That's just ridiculous that you're saying, we love the sin that she's putting out there. We love the sin. How dare you knock her off? We want her sin #1. That's outrageous. So we were in the days of Noah. And so that was my second album. And then I went on to do one called Melting Statues. And on the cover of Melting Statues, I called it Melting Statues so that we'd get rid of our religious garbage.
That's right. And the image on the front of it, the image of Constantine.
Constantine is on the front.
So, you've had an awakening that's happened in your life. I mean, you've been in the Christian world, for many years now.
Yes.
But something happened, something changed.
Yeah, all the way along.
Led you.
I think, like everyone in the room here, it's like a lot of us when we've been in church for years and we're like frogs. We got cooked, slowly. You put them on in the cold water and they love it, and then you leave it on the stove for long enough and they get cooked and they don't know. But when you wake up and say, I just got cooked in a church, you go, yes, I feel very burnt out, and I feel very abused. It's a very shocking thing when you suddenly realize that the church regime you were under, which you thought was loving and kind, it's very sad to find out that it wasn't as loving and kind as we thought it was. And it was about control and the man often doing his thing. And a lot of people got hurt.
It's loving and kind as long as you're part of it.
Yeah, that's right, Arthur. And we were talking earlier about I've been in churches and I would go and ask one question. And when I asked one question in my church, I'm suddenly the enemy. I didn't ask 2 or 3 questions, I asked one question. And I had a church leader call me in Sydney, Australia. He says, people are scared of you. And I said, why? He said, because you think.
Well, we know the motto of the Christian church is Matthew 5:17, think not.
Yes, think not. That's right. Yeah, sorry. What a silly
Just
me.
don't read the rest of the verse.
I know, I'm bad disciple. So I said to him, are you kidding? I said, you can't be serious. He says, no, it's not only that. You think deeply. And I think this is getting more and more, this is getting ridiculous. I said, hang on, wait a minute. I said, aren't we supposed to be the deepest thinkers in the world? Shouldn't we Christians be the deepest thinkers? Don't we want the spirit of revelation, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom? That's us. We want those spirits in us. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, well, yeah, I suppose so. And then I was told that people were angry with me because I wasn't worshiping during the worship time. I was on. We had tables in our church, so I was writing all the time. They said, people are angry with you because you're always writing. I said, well, what's wrong with that? And he goes, well, you're supposed to be worshiping. I said, I'm writing new worship songs. I'm so inspired. Well, I suppose that's okay. And the problem was, it was him. He was the one who was angry, and he was the one who was afraid of me. And that was sad, And so when you leave a church, it's because and you're dishonored as you leave. Millions of Christians have left churches in the United States, and the pastor didn't go after them and say, what happened? Did I hurt you? Did I do something wrong? And you get a chance to say, yes, you did actually, and this is what it was. I'd love to see the day when the pastor goes after the 1 out of 100 that leaves and asks them, what happened? Was it me? Was it the elders? Did we do something wrong? And he actually listens to them and they say, yes, it is you. And I was in a church years ago and a guy came to me, a new pastor took over. He didn't do anything for 2 weeks. He stayed in his house and he prayed for 2 weeks with the phone directory of the church. And he said to the Lord, who's this person? Holy Spirit, tell me about this person. So he did that for 2 weeks. He took them all out, people out for dinner and breakfasts and so on, and started asking them questions. So he took me out. I was at the end because I'm at the end. And I was so beaten up at this point, I couldn't say anything. Just that's my spirit here was saying there's something seriously wrong in our church. So he says to me, Joseph, what do you think's wrong with our church? And I went, I don't want to, I can't. And he pushed me until he said, look, just give me one small thing, just give me something small. And I said, I just don't want to, gosh, it's so hard to say anything at all. So I finally said one small thing, and I had my head down to even say it, and he goes, you're right. I go, what? He said, you're right. And I said, Douglas, no one's told me I've been right for 5 years. He said, not only are you right, it's much worse than what you know. Now, what else do you see that's wrong with our church? So I got out the scroll, and rolled out number 2, and he goes, you're right again. And again, you don't know how bad it really is. That's sad. So I spent 5 years under this, oppression of you can't ask any questions. You can't go to leadership and have an open discussion. You couldn't get past the first question because you became the enemy. And all I wanted to know is what we're doing the truth. Is this honest? Is this actually loving people?
And your search for the truth has, brought you an awakening to find out what is wrong, and then to help other people come out of the boiling pot.
Yes.
Leap out before they're cooked in the church.
That's right. And I've written songs about that, Michael. So when I think about my first album and the song "No Excuses," and in that song I actually wrote them down just to make sure I could say it without singing it. And it says, I'll find it. Here it is. It's up here somewhere. Freedom from conditioning of 7,000 man-made rules. I've had enough of suffering, things not said in heaven's schools. And that's what I felt I was under. 7,000 rules starting in the Catholic Church when I was brought down in the Catholic Church, whatever you want to say it, however you want to say it. And I got angry when I found out what the truth was, that Mary wasn't the Queen of Heaven. She isn't? Oh, he's the king, and so she can't possibly be the queen. She must be the Queen Mother. No, she's not even the Queen Mother. No, not Queen Mother either, no. You're right, actually. Very basic reading of the scripture. She's not the Queen of Heaven.
That's right.
And that's just sad. And you start to get angry and you say, I've been conned. I've been conned by the religious experts. And now I'm waking up.
That's
I've
right.
spent years
And
waking
tomorrow
up.
afternoon, you're going to be with us. You're going to be teaching. You're going to be ministering in song with us all weekend. And we are very much looking forward to that.
Thanks,
and so thank you for being with us, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Vogels. Wait. We are going to be right after our Kiddush, and so get ready with the bread and wine back home. Join us in the tent of Abraham for the Kiddush, the bread and the wine, and then we're going to be back with our teaching tonight on the chronological Gospels, the vice of linear chronology, or how to squeeze the Gentile hockey foddy out of the Bible. And so we'll be back in just a moment. Traditions that we inherited from Babylon through Constantine have us occasionally with a little plastic cup and a little round wafer in a church service having what is called communion. But Yeshua was not having communion with his disciples. It was the last meal before his crucifixion, which happened at the time the Passover lambs were being sacrificed the following morning. Yeshua took this opportunity to explain something that had been embedded in the Israelite culture for then over 1,000 years. Melchizedek brought forth bread and wine to Abraham, and he blessed the Most High, saying, Baruch atah Yehovah, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, ha'motzi lechem min ha'aretz. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our Elohim, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Yeshua said, this represents my body, which will be broken for you. As often as you do it in remembrance of me. And so we break this bread and we do it in remembrance of him. Likewise, Yeshua took the cup and he blessed the Most High with that blessing that Melchizedek blessed the Most High. Baruch atah Yehovah, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, borei pari hagafen. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our Elohim, the King of the universe, the creator of the fruit of the vine. Yeshua said, this represents my shed blood, which will be poured out for the remission of sin. I will not drink another drop of the fruit of the vine. You take my cup and divide it among yourselves, because I won't drink it until I drink it again with you in my Father's kingdom. The marriage supper of the Lamb, Yeshua will lift this cup and he will say, L'chaim, to life everlasting. And until then, we remember what he's done and remember that marriage supper of the Lamb. Get ready. We have been in the book of the Revelation of Yeshua Messiah, and now for 11 weeks, we finally finished the 3rd chapter. And so we should probably, within the next 10 years, get to the end of the book of the Revelation. But we're going to take a break from that schedule for this special event, because for Yeshua's 2015th birthday, we are releasing the chronological Gospels, the life and 70-week ministry of the Messiah. This is a work that has taken 40 years of my life in order to put this together, because I set out to solve all of the apparent contradictions in the English version of the gospel records and to put things in chronological order. And one of the first things that had to be taken care of after years and years of attempting to make this work, it was found that for the first 300 years after the resurrection of Yeshua, every disciple of the apostles, every disciple, the disciple of the apostles, every church historian, every church father said that Jesus' ministry was about 1 year. And then in the 4th century, Eusebius, the bishop of Caesarea, named after the Caesar, the bishop of Caesarea, who wrote the oration in exaltation of the emperor Constantine, in which Constantine then named himself the Pontifex Maximus, which is the title of the high priest of paganism. It was Eusebius who, the first time that anyone had ever spoken these words, and he said that Jesus' ministry was 3.5 years, which is 1/2 of a week, contradicting over 300 years of testimony that goes back to the eyewitnesses. And this is what we have inherited, and since the Reformation, no one has challenged Eusebius. And because of that, we've been left with earth-shaking and faith-shaking contradictions that cannot be solved because of this fairy tale that Eusebius came up with because he was attempting to interpret the messianic prophecy that is found in the 9th chapter of the book of Daniel. Isaac Newton, known even today by modern scientists as the greatest scientist that ever lived, spent the last decade of his life attempting to decipher the prophecies in the book of Daniel, only going to his grave knowing that he had not solved it. Isaac Newton didn't solve it, but Isaac Newton asked the questions that NASA later was able to answer. And it took them putting mirrors on the moon, shining laser beams off them for 10 years to track the lunations so that we could then go back and find the ancient biblical calendar. And without that, the chronological Gospels would still be a wish. But now it is a reality because we're able to get rid of the fairy tale foisted upon the believers by one man who made up a fairy tale in the 4th century, and after the 4th century, then words, verses were added into the text of the scripture that were not in there for the first 3 centuries. And after the 4th century, things were added in. But not only do we have things that were added in that we needed to then bring out into the open and expose as forgeries, and this is what we do in the introduction, but also we needed to translate the Gospels correctly. Tonight I'm going to take you to one verse in the Bible, one verse in the Gospels that has been mistranslated into the English language since the 1500s. And why has it been mistranslated? Because without chronology, without the context of chronology, no one knew how to translate the Greek words that were there. And so tonight we are going to have the help of about 27 people who are going to come up and read different versions of the Bible that they have in their hands. They're going to be reading these, and they are going to take us to a verse in Luke. And I want you, everyone that's watching out there in cyberspace, make sure that you have a Bible. Before you even turn my program on, you should have a Bible in front of you, okay? Now get it and turn to Luke chapter 9 and verse 51, and we are going to begin reading and take it right straight from there. So the very first verse that we have, I believe, what version do you have?
Standard Version 1901.
Okay, please read the American Standard Version 1901 of Luke 9:51.
And it came to pass, when the days were well nigh come, that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, Luke chapter 9, when the days were well nigh come, that he should be received up. Okay, very good. What's our next version?
This is 2 Corinthians.
Okay, step right up.
2 Corinthians,
Wait.
Standard Bible.
Okay.
Second Christian Standard Bible, 1999.
Okay,
Bible
very
Publishers.
good. Okay, that's the Christian Standard Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, please read.
When the days were coming to a close for him to be taken up, he determined to journey to Jerusalem.
Okay, and it has a footnote in the Christian Standard Bible. It says for him to be taken up is his ascension. When the days were coming for a close for him to be, for his ascension. Okay, now what version do we have?
I have the Daisy Rhymes 1899.
Okay, that's the Douay Rheims. That's known as the Catholic Bible. Okay, please read that.
Luke 9:51. And it came to pass when the days of his assumption were accomplishing that he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, the days of his assumption. Assumption is kind of a Latinized word meaning is ascension, and there's a church in Jerusalem called the Church of the Assumption, where Mary went to heaven. Okay, I call it the Church of the Ridiculous Assumption, but that's my version. Okay, what version do you have?
I have the Bishop Bible.
Okay, that's the 1595 version of the Bishop's Bible, okay? And I also have this up on the screen so that you can also put that up. Please read that.
And it came to pass when the time was come that he should be received up, he set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, we have this, and so now you see right from the Bishop's Bible, please keep the screen up there, the unusual spelling of the words. This is back in English in 1595. Please put that back up on the screen. As I asked, thank you very much. Okay, look at the word received. Received VP, up. Characters were used in the English language differently back in 1595, and I do need these screens up as these are being read. Okay, our next version, sir. What do we have?
Yes, I have the Geneva Bible, 1599.
Geneva Bible. Okay, this is what the Pilgrims brought over. Okay.
And it came to pass when the days were accomplished that he should be received up, he settled himself fully to go to Jerusalem.
The days were accomplished that he should be received up. Okay, very good. Next version.
Yes, sir, I've got King James Version.
King James.
Luke 9:51.
Okay, close to the microphone.
And it came to pass when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, very good. All right, next version. Quickly.
This is the New King James Version again.
New King James.
And it came to pass when the time had come for him to be received up, and that he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, just a little change in the verb tense on this. Had come. Okay. The New King James Version, it just updates the English language a little bit. This is a 1982 update of the King James. And a lot of people think that they're reading the 1611 King James. No, not by a long shot. The 1611 King James was revised in the 1700s and then again in the 1900s. Most people, including myself, it's very difficult to even read the 1611 King James Version of the Bible. There are characters that we no longer even use in the English language. So, New King James, okay, and what do we have next?
The New English Bible in Basic English, 1949. Luke 9:51. And it came about when the days were near for him to be taken up, his face was turned to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, again, the time came for him to be taken up. It sounds like one after another, it's all the ascension, it's all being taken up. Okay, what do we have next?
The New Jerusalem Bible, 1985.
Okay.
Now it happened that as the time drew near for him to be taken up, he resolutely turned his face towards Jerusalem.
Okay, very good. What do we have next here?
I have the English Standard Version, 2001. When the days drew near for him to be taken up, he set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, very good. Next.
Have the New American Standard.
And it came about when the days were approaching for his ascension that he resolutely set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, very good, very good. Approaching for his ascension, okay? Now remember, we're in Luke 9:51. His ascension is recorded 15 chapters later in Luke 24:51. Okay, next.
Okay. This is the One New Man version.
Okay, get up real close. And what version?
The One New Man version.
Okay, One New Man.
And it was the days in which his ascensions was to be fulfilled, and he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, so here he is on his way to Jerusalem for his ascension. Okay, wow. This is fantastic. What do we have next?
I have the New International Version.
Oh, the NIV, the non-inspired version. Okay, 1973. Please continue.
As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem.
Oh, we got the words to heaven. He's now going to be taken up to heaven. The words to heaven have now come into the Bible, and they haven't been there since the 1500s, but now in 1973 they come up, okay? Get your lips right to that microphone. Okay, next, what's your version?
New Living Translation, 2004.
New Living Translation, okay?
As the time drew near for him to ascend to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem.
Wow, now he's ascending to heaven. Okay, again, what's our next version? Right up there, get your lips right into that microphone.
It's God's Word Translation.
God's Word Translation. Speak up, yell it out.
Luke 9:51. The time was coming closer for Jesus to be taken to heaven. So he was determined to go to Jerusalem.
Okay. Time drew closer for Jesus to be taken to heaven. He's heading to Jerusalem now. About 15 chapters too early. Okay. Good. Next.
All right, this is the Complete Jewish Bible.
Okay, this is 1998 by David Stern, Complete Jewish Bible.
Correct.
Okay.
As the time approached for him to be taken up into heaven, he made his decision to set out for Jerusalem.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, now I want you to put up something here. What version do you have, Ron?
I had the James Murdoch 18.
Okay, we're going to wait on that because now I want to show you. Please put this up on the screen, okay? Here is the Byzantine Greek text, okay? Egeneto, deeto, sumple ruthai, tas himeras, tas analympheos, atos kaiatos, to prosopon, to hesterikan, to parusthai, es Jerusalem. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you, write down, now you'll notice anyone that can read Greek, I had to use symbol because it wouldn't allow me to use my Greek text in PowerPoint, okay? So you're going to see some variations because I don't have a sigma sophete, which is Greek Hebrew, the ending sigma, okay, on here, etc. But now we're going to take a look at this. Egeneto dein, and it came to pass, or so it was. It also could be once upon a time, okay? It's just, and it came to pass. And now we have to sum pleruthai. My Greek is a little rusty. And say to is the definitive article, and sum pleruthai is fulfilling, okay? So it is the definite article, the fulfilling, and fulfilling, sum pleruthai is the infinitive, perfect passive form of sum plerao. Plerao is filled to capacity, pletho is filled to overflowing. But this is the fulfilling, and then tas himeras, the day. It's also just means a period of time. It doesn't mean a 24-hour period. It just means a period of time. So it came to pass, the fulfilling, the day, or the period of time, and then tas analympheos, the upgoing, the upgoing. And then we have his, even his, the face, and then his firmly to travel to Jerusalem. This is what it is saying. So here is the RLT, the Rood's literal translation. Now listen, it's a literal translation. It's not yet a version. It came to pass, the fulfilling, the time, the going up, the face, his firmly to travel to Jerusalem. It came to pass the fulfilling the time of the going up. Or here is the Rood's literal version. Once you have a translation, now you work it into a version that follows the rules of syntax for the language in which the target language. So, fulfilling the time of his going up, he firmly set his face to travel to Jerusalem. Fulfilling the time of his going up. It's not his ascension, he is going up. Where is he going? He's going up to the Feast of Sukkot. It is not his ascension. His ascension is 15 chapters later. In the 24th chapter, the 51st verse, this is when Yeshua then goes up to Jerusalem. There is a lot that happens between the Feast of Sukkot and his ascension. But because nobody pays attention to linear chronology and what's taking place, we have translations going back to the 1500s that has his ascension into heaven, when this is a simple Hebrew figure of speech of going up to the feast. In Hebrew, it would have been said when it came the time of the fulfilling of his aliyah, going up to Jerusalem. Because when Yeshua goes up to the feast, he either interprets the feast, the prophetic fulfillment of the fall feast, or he fulfills the spring feast. But he is going up and he is fulfilling the time of his going up. And we're going to see that in just a moment. Now, we're going to take a look at, Ron, your version is what?
It's the James Murdoch 1852 Peshitta.
Okay.
And when the days for his ascension were completed, so it was that he set his face to go up to Jerusalem.
Okay, so again, for the time of his ascension were completed. Is that a correct translation? No. See, when it says received up or going up, it all depends on your perspective. If you're up to Jerusalem, then people come up to the feast, right? But if you're in the Galilee, even though it's north, it's on a lower plateau, lower level, and so from the Galilee, you go up to the feast. And so it depends on your perspective. We have this in the English language. Are you going to come over to Bill's? If I'm at Bill's place, I say, are you going to come over to Bill's? But if I'm not at Bill's place, I say, are you going to go over to Bill's? It depends on your perspective, how you translate the word, how you make it work in the English language. Here, when the time came of the fulfillment of his time of going up. And so now I'm going to go back. I want to show you right here in your chronological Gospels in 126, right here. Look at it on your screen. Yeshua and a few trusted disciples journeyed to Jerusalem via Samaria, quote, when the days of his going up were being fulfilled. And now we're going to read it out of Luke and John, because both of them speak of this incident. Luke 9:51, when the time came for him, Yeshua, to go up, and then here it is in italics to show that it's not in the original text, to the Feast of Sukkot, to go up to the Feast of Sukkot. Now, what did these other translators do? They added in the words which are not in the original text, received up to heaven or go up to heaven. To heaven's not in the text at all. Why do they add the words to heaven? Because they're trying to make it make sense, but they further destroy any possibility of understanding what's going on. When the time for him to go up to the Feast of Sukkot, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. The same incident is recorded in John chapter 7, verse 10. After his brothers went up to the feast, then he also went up in secret. See it? He went up, going up, go up to the feast. Same terminology that's used, but unfortunately we don't have the Hebrew that would have said aliyah, that he is making aliyah, that he's going up to the feast. Okay, now we are in Paul Eunan's Peshitta, right?
I have the public domain.
Oh yeah, the public domain. This is Paul Unen, who did this translation. It's been released to the public domain, and this is actually what Andrew Gabriel Roth did. This Aramaic English New Testament. What he did is he went to the internet and he copied Paul Unen's work, but then he put the Aramaic, which he puts the Aramaic, which nobody can read, including Andrew Gabriel Roth. He can't even read his own, what he says is the greatest translation in 2,000 years, because he copied it directly off the internet and put it in a Word document and then published it. So that's his work here. And so now he's going to read what Paul Unen did, and this is exactly what you'd read right here.
And it happened that when the days of his journey were fulfilled, he hardened his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, when the days of his journey were fulfilled. Okay, now that's a little bit more accurate, isn't it? That Paul Unen did. Now, I wanted to mention something about this because, I have behind my desk, I keep Lamza's work, and I believe you're going to be reading Lamza?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so go ahead and read Lamza, okay? This is George Lamza, 1933. He completed his work of translating the Aramaic Peshitta text. Now, I'll say this. Now, I have consulted with the leading scholar of the Aramaic church in Jerusalem. He is the head scholar, and when I have Aramaic problems, I go to him. I go to Sammy Barsom, who is my tailor, who makes all my beged ivri, my biblical clothing, in Jerusalem, and he calls his friend, and he acts as the intermediary because his English is very rough, but his Aramaic is impeccable. And he says we don't use the Peshitta text because we know that it is an Aramaic translation of the Greek text of about the 4th century. They don't even use it in the Aramaic-speaking church in Jerusalem or in Syria or in Damascus. It is not used over there because they say it is a translation from a Greek text. I like it because it at least is a Semitic language and much closer to Hebrew, and so they take that Greek language and take it back into culture and come up with some fairly good stuff on it. George Lamza wrote what? What did he put?
So it reads as the following. And it happens when the days to go up on his journey were fulfilled. He set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, very good. Well, see, now the Lamza, I like that, and that's why, I actually became famous on this because they wanted people to sell this by making phone calls. And they contacted people all over the world to do this, even in Jerusalem. And this is how I found out. One of my neighbors in Israel said that he applied to actually sell this, and then he got the form, and it says, if you know Michael Rood or a Rood Awakening, you cannot sell this. It's because I tell the truth about what this is. And David Bauscher, who had been involved in the translation projects concerning the Aramaic Peshitta since 2004, he related that a friend gave him a copy of Andrew Gabriel Roth's publication, the Aramaic New Testament, and he asked him to evaluate it. Upon careful analysis, Bauscher concluded with absolute certainty that Roth simply reproduced earlier translations after making minor revisions by a search and replace function of a word processing program, probably Microsoft Word. The end result was that Roth changed about 5% of the work that had already been translated by other authors and was freely available on the internet. And so he goes on to say, exactly where this came from. He says the only exception appears to be Galatians, which Roth apparently translated himself. And then I asked Nehemiah Gordon about this because Nehemiah is a Hebrew and Aramaic scholar, Hebrew University. He's involved in the scientific publication of the Aleppo Codex and the Dead Sea Scrolls. And Gordon said that whoever translated the text of Galatians was completely unfamiliar with Aramaic rules of syntax and made the translation using a rudimentary concordance. So he was pretty sure that Roth actually did that. And while Roth have self-asserted this publication as the official New Testament of the Messianic movement, Bauscher denounced Roth's Aramaic English New Testament as shameless plagiarism. And all he had to do was cite and say that I copied this off the internet, and it could have happened. And in winter 2010, Roth was asked to read a portion of his Aramaic New Testament at a conference in Oregon. And those who were in attendance stated that his unpracticed 2-minute reading was both excruciating and embarrassing as he attempted to read his own New Testament to the assembly. As one attendee put it, Roth broke his teeth on every syllable. It was apparent that the Aramaic language in his own book, which he touted as the greatest translation in 2,000 years, was completely foreign to him. So, you know, there are several things that people have done. They've taken the scriptures out of South Africa and one woman did a search and replace method and put ancient Paleo-Hebrew in, published it, has been selling it for years, and it is simply plagiarism, and she could actually, she'd lose if they wanted to sue her, but, you know, they are in South Africa. And these men spent good years on that translation out there. And then she took it and is making money off it. When I found out what they did, I sent back $2,000 worth of those Bibles to her, and she said she's going to send the money back. Never sent the money back. She just disappears. So, you know, there's a lot of people that just want to make money off religion, and that's what happens. Okay? And so now, what version do we have coming up now?
1534, Tyndale New Testament.
Okay, this takes us back to the beginning, and follow on the screen as he reads this from Tyndale.
And it followed when the time was come that he should be received up. Then he set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Okay, take a look at the spelling there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first English version. I'll tell you, this is absolutely precious. William Tyndale wanted to use the same 1516 Erasmus Greek text that Martin Luther used, and so he showed up on Luther's doorstep in 1525, and at the end of the year of 1526, he had produced the Tyndale New Testament. And in the King James and the original dedication of it, it talked about this, and 80% of the King James Version came from William Tyndale. And Tyndale had to be on the run, did he not? I mean, they were hunting him down like a dog, and they were burning the copies of his books. The priests were going out, and if you had a copy of anything Tyndale did, it could cost you your life. And people gave their lives to protect Tyndale's work, and that's why we have the King James today, because of what William Tyndale did and what John Huss did at burning at the stake because of trying to get this Bible into our language to the people, to the common people. And so they burned as many as they could confiscate, and they said it had thousands of errors in it, but it really didn't. Now, why did they really go after it? I cite it in the chronological Gospels that William Tyndale translated the word ecclesia twice as church, only twice. Every other time he translated it as assembly. The 2 times he translated it as church, it refers to pagan temples. And because of where Rome was, the Roman church, that's why they went after him to kill him. Because he was accurately translating the word ecclesia. It's not church. Church is from the old German that went into English, Kirche, which is circus or circle, which a circus is in. And that pretty well is an accurate definition of the modern day church, is a circus. But it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be an assembly. The kahila, the called out. That's what it's supposed to be. What do we have?
We got the Webster Bible.
Webster Bible. Now you're going to really appreciate this. 1833, Webster Bible. Put it up on the screen as he reads.
And it came to pass when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem.
Thank you. Now you'll notice the spelling. It was Noah Webster who standardized the spelling of the English language. And so that's why We can still read that from 1833 to today because the English language has now been standardized, thanks to Noah, not the British. I've got nothing against the British. We sent them all home. Okay, what do we have?
The French Bible of Jerusalem.
The French Bible of Jerusalem. Please read.
Or il advint.
Okay, get right up to the microphone.
Or il advint, comme s'accomplissait le temps qui devait être enlevé, qu'il prit résolument le chemin de Jérusalem.
Okay, and so what does it say in English? Does it say the time of his going up to the feast of Sukkot, or what?
It doesn't really specify.
Doesn't specify.
It
Just says, what does it say? Going up, received up, what does it say?
As time is it says actually you will understand that it's before he will be taken.
Before he will be taken.
Yes.
That's what the French says. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you for the French version. What do we have next?
We have the Spanish Reina Valera.
Reina Valera.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got it from the Greeks, they got it from the Pig Latin, and that's how we get this. Okay. Lucas 9:51. Cuando se cumplió el tiempo en que él había de ser recibido arriba, afirmó su rostro para ir a Jerusalén.
Oh, recibo arriba. I can't believe it. It's recibido arriba.
That means
That's
subiendo.
right. He's
Subiendo.
taking him up into heaven.
But
Okay,
thanks,
that's an Italian version of Spanish.
that is
Okay, all right.
arriba.
Okay, arriba. That's right. Arriba. Adios, amigos. Okay, what do we have?
The New American Bible, 1970.
New American Bible. Let's see what we got.
When the days of his being taken up were fulfilled, he resolutely determined to journey to Jerusalem.
Oh my goodness, here it is. Days of his taken up were being fulfilled. He resolutely determined to journey to Jerusalem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the detail on this, what we're going to do is take a short break. Now, this is not for the people that are here this weekend. It is for those who are online, that we give you this opportunity, just a couple of minutes, to be a part of what we are doing here. We are freely giving. We are putting this out on the internet. We are on Roku. We are on YouTube. We are on what else? On live stream. We are going out to the world, and to do this, it takes a big team with big equipment to come halfway across America to do this, to be with you tonight. And if you want to be a part of this, to take the gospel of the kingdom out to the world, then this is your opportunity to stand with us and be part of this. We are freely giving. It is now your time to freely give. You have freely received. Now, this is your opportunity to freely give, and so please stand with us. Be a part of what we are doing, and may Yahovah bless you in what you do, and your reward will not be stripped from you in the time of trouble ahead, because Yeshua says those who even give as much as a cold drink of water to those who come in his name, their reward would not be taken from them. So we're going to give you this time out there in cyberspace and on television to call in, write in, click in, and donate to be a part of this. And thank you for standing with us. Thanks for being a part of this. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, Arthur, we go all the way back to William Tyndale in the English version of the Bible, and it is pretty well straightforward. Every one of them talk about either being received up, ascending up into heaven, being taken up into heaven. And this is Luke chapter 9, verse 51. And he is on his way up to the Feast of Sukkot. And yet, all these translations, I mean, I can't believe that Stern missed this. It's like, you know, as I say, let the Jews interpret the scriptures as Jews have written, and we'll leave plenty of time at the end of the seminar for the Gentiles to interpret all the scriptures they wrote. Which shouldn't take but 3 seconds because
they didn't
write any. But, you know, see, once we get a picture in our mind, then it sticks in there. And this is the danger of what we see in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think what most people know of the 10 Commandments is the movie Cecil B. DeMille.
That's where I learned it.
That's where you learned it.
That's where I learned. Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's a very impactful movie. And when you see the finger of God come down and write on those tables of stone, when they get to Mount Sinai, it's there like forever.
Yeah.
But that's not how it happened.
No.
I mean, you know, when we got to Mount Sinai, we were told that, you know, to prepare for 3 days. You know, this is after a couple of days of instruction. Prepare for 3 days, and then when the trumpets blow, to gather at the base of the mountain where the Almighty shouted down the commandments. And it frightened us so badly, we said, you know, please, Moses, never have us hear the voice of the Almighty like this. See this fire, this lightning, this thunder. See the sky on fire like a furnace. You go up and you speak to the Almighty. Whatever he tells you, you come back and tell us, we promise we'll obey. But we are afraid we're going to die. And so Moses goes back up in the mountain, comes back down and writes a scroll and sprinkles blood from bulls on the people and on this book and on the altar, and putting us all under a blood covenant. And then Moses goes up in the mountain, spends 40 days and 40 nights up in the mountain, and at the end of it, the Almighty hands him the tables of stone. Wait, where was that in Cecil B. DeMille's work? It's not even there. Now I can understand, the movie's already 3 hours long. I mean, you got to start cutting somewhere. But see, the problem is we get these pictures in our mind because we saw a movie, and from then on, we keep playing that movie, and people can read the Bible.
They read the Bible
and still not see it.
Right. Blinded.
Absolutely. And as a pastor, minister in 5 different denominations, you've seen plenty of blindness that way, haven't you?
Lots of it, yeah. Because once a person gets an image in his mind, they read the Bible through those lenses.
And once someone puts that picture in their mind, William Tyndale put that picture in their mind, and it's just, you know, the man, you cannot fault the man. I mean, he gave his life to get the Bible in our language, the New Testament, in a language in the hands of the people.
Yeah.
But because he didn't have the framework of the chronology, he just missed it. Well, as we read from the New Living Bible, or excuse me, New American Bible, that should tell you something. New American Bible. Just a Bible for Americans. We're not that smart. We got to have someone explain it to us, and so they're going to explain it to us now. Because they're not going to leave it to your own interpretation. These geniuses are now going to tell you what this means. Okay? So, again, when the days of his being taken up were fulfilled, he resolutely determined to journey to Jerusalem. Here are the notes. The Galilean ministry of Jesus finishes with the previous episode, and a new section of Luke's gospel begins, the journey to Jerusalem. This journey is based on Mark 10, 1 through 52, but Luke uses Markan source only in Luke 18, 15 through chapter 19, verse 27. Before that point, he has inserted into his gospel a distinctive collection of sayings of Jesus and stories about him that was drawn from manuscript Q, which is a make-believe manuscript, okay? I'll just tell you that. Manuscript Q doesn't exist. This is just the machinations of a biblical illiterate, but he couches it brilliantly. Drawn from Q, a collection of sayings of Jesus used also by Matthew and from his own special traditions. All the material collected in this section is loosely organized within the framework of a journey of Jesus to Jerusalem, the city of destiny, where his exodus, suffering, death, resurrection, and ascension is to take place, where salvation is accomplished, and from where the proclamation of God's saving word to go forth. Much of the material in the Lucan travel narrative is teaching for his disciples. During the course of this journey, Jesus is preparing his chosen Galilean witnesses for the role they will play after his exodus. They are to be his witnesses to the people, and thereby provide certainty for the readers of Luke's gospel that the teachings they have received are rooted in the teachings of Jesus. Just as the Galilean ministry began with the rejection of Jesus in his hometown, so too the travel narrative begins with the rejection of him by the Samaritans. In this episode, Jesus disassociates himself from the attitude expressed by his disciples that those who reject him are to be punished severely. The story alludes to 2 Kings, where the prophet Elijah takes the course of action Jesus rejects, and Jesus thereby rejects the identification of himself with Elijah. Days for his being taken up, like the reference to his exodus in Luke 9:31, this is probably a reference to all the events, suffering, death, resurrection, ascension of his last days in Jerusalem. He resolutely determined literally means he set his face. Okay, well that is beautiful. That is the biggest bunch of hockey foddy I have ever read on that. And those of you who do not know what hockey foddy is, that is Arabic for complete and utter nonsense. Here it is, Luke chapter 9, verse 51. Yeshua is going up to the Feast of Sukkot. All right? So now what has happened in Luke just before this? We see, first of all, that 18 days before the Feast of Sukkot, this is when Yeshua feeds the 5,000, about 5,000 with leavened barley loaves. It is the only miracle that is recorded by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That provides a synchronizing marker right in the middle of Yeshua's ministry to where you can synchronize everything that goes before and everything that comes after with absolute precision, because we have one miracle that takes place on one point in time and is recorded by all four gospel authors so that we can't make a mistake. We can line it up, we can squish them together, and everything fits as long as we have the proper interpretation. But if we've got, in 9:51, him going up for his ascension into heaven, we've got utter and complete nonsense. So we've got the feeding of the 5,000. Then he goes over to the Capernaum synagogue and teaches in the synagogue on the last day in the resurrection, on the weekly Sabbath, and that evening is when the first sliver of the new moon of the 7th month appears over the horizon from the land of Israel. And so what he teaches on the last day in the resurrection is then, speaking of the Day of Trumpets, and it is the Day of Trumpets at sunset. Now, after teaching in the synagogue, a few days later, he then feeds another 4,000 with leavened barley loaves. And then a few days after that, he then is on the 10th day of the month, he is then transfigured. The Mount of Transfiguration incident takes place on Yom Kippur, the 10th day of the 7th month, when Yeshua is then ordained in the presence, in this vision, with Elijah and Moses, the two witnesses, and he is ordained as the Kohen Gadol forever after the order of the Melchizedek. The exact prophecy of David. King David, who was a prophet, who saw beforehand the coming of the Messiah, knowing that from his loins would come the Messiah, said that that Messiah would be the Kohen Gadol, the high priest forever, after the priesthood of the Melchizedek, the righteous king, not after a Levitical priesthood. Yeshua was not from the tribe of Levi. He was the tribe of Judah. He was from David's lineage. And so now we have Yeshua being ordained on the highest day of the year in the presence of just 3 of his most trusted disciples. Then we've got 5 days to make our trip up to Jerusalem. And so now his family and most of his disciples go up ahead of time, but Yeshua stays behind and doesn't go up right away, as we read about in John chapter 7, verse 10. His family and some of his disciples went ahead, but he went up later secretly. On his way up, he goes by the Samaritan village where he had gone just before the feast of Shavuot in the spring. This is after the feast of Passover, which is recorded by John. Then Yeshua leaves Jerusalem in Judea, goes up into the Galilee, and that's where he meets this Gentile Samaritan woman at the well. After he identifies himself for the first and last time, the only time that he identifies himself to anyone as the Messiah. Because the woman said, when the Messiah comes, he's going to tell us everything. He's going to explain everything to us. And Yeshua said, you're looking at him, sweetheart. Well, the sweetheart, that's in one of the ancient texts that we haven't found yet. The woman runs into town, tells everyone, he's told me everything I've ever done. The entire village of Samaritans who dress in all white jalabias or haluks comes out, and the high priest of the Samaritans, Yohanan, the 49th high priest of the Samaritans, said to him, we heard what the woman said, we didn't believe, we've heard your word, we know you're the Messiah. It says Yeshua spent 2 days with those Samaritans. 2 days, it says twice. Why? A day with the Lord is as 1,000 years is a day. It is a prophetic shadow of the time of the Gentiles, 2,000 years of the time of the Gentiles. It's the only time that he says he's the Messiah. Every other time he says, don't tell anyone. Now, Yeshua is on his way up to the Feast of Sukkot. He is going up. The time is being fulfilled of his going up to Jerusalem for the Feast of Sukkot, and he stops by the Samaritan village and sends James and John in to buy some victuals, some food. When they go into town and the people find out that he set his face to go to Jerusalem, the Samaritans refuse to sell him anything. Why? Because of what the Samaritan woman said. She said, our fathers say we should worship here on Mount Gerizim. The Jews say we should worship in Jerusalem at Mount Moriah. What do you say? The 10th commandment in the Torah text of the Samaritans to this day reads, thou shalt worship on Mount Gerizim. Yeshua is on his way to Jerusalem. He sends his disciples in to buy stuff for the journey because it's another 18 hours. And what do they say to him? Pack your trash and keep on trucking. If you're not going to celebrate the feast with us on Mount Gerizim, if you set your face and you're determined to go to Jerusalem, you can just keep on going, buddy. We're not even going to sell you anything. The people who said he's the Messiah, and he spent 2 days with them, now, because he doesn't want to play religion the Gentile way, they say just keep on moving. And this is the example to the Western Gentile Christian church today. They are saying, if you don't want to play religion with us, you just keep on moving. You know, you say Yeshua, and people get, their hair just goes wild. Listen, 600 years ago, nobody on planet Earth had ever said the name Jesus. The name Jesus didn't even exist 600 years ago. The letter J didn't exist in the English language 600 years ago. And when they put it in the alphabet after the letter I, because I is a vowel and it's be pronounced I, And J is a consonant to be pronounced y. As today in Europe, you see Yugoslavia is spelled Jugoslavia. It looks like Jugoslavia to Americans reading the New American Bible. But in the continent where the language was invented, they pronounce it Yugoslavia because they know how to pronounce a J. Anytime you see the letter J in the English Bible, you pronounce it as a Y. And you're going to be very close to pronunciation. There is no letter J in the Hebrew language. There's no J sound. It's not there. You got to use a gimel with a flourish to do it. To even get close, okay? Now, what else is going on here? So then there are a few Samaritans that say they want to go with him. All right, so he goes up to the Feast of Sukkot. At the end of the Feast of Sukkot, he then ordains 70 people to go out in 35 teams of 2, and so they go out. Okay, Luke is there at the Feast of Sukkot, and he sends these people out. Then they gather together for the Feast of Hanukkah. They go out to Hanukkah where Yeshua heals the man who's been born blind. And then after that, he goes down into the Dead Sea Valley, down in the area of Perea in the wintertime because it's cold. And so he spends the wintertime down there, and then he gets a call to go up to Jerusalem at the time of Purim because Lazarus, his friend, is dead. He raises Lazarus from the dead and goes back down to the Dead Sea again. He comes up at the end of the 12th month, and now we know, with the parameters of the barley was not yet Aviv at the end of the 12th month, and Yeshua makes another circuit of the Galilee and teaches, and then at the end of the month, he is coming up the Dead Sea Valley. He comes up through Jericho, where he meets Zacchaeus, the wee little man. The wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And when he left town on his way to Jerusalem, he heals blind son of Timaeus, the blind son of Timaeus. Bartimaeus, it's not his name. Bar, Aramaic, son, Timaeus. He's the son of Timaeus. He heals him, and on up to Jerusalem, where Yeshua is then fulfills the spring feast as the Passover lamb of the first year. The acceptable 3.5 years of the Lord are fulfilled. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I forgot. It says the acceptable year of the Lord. The male lamb of the first year goes up to Jerusalem, where he is crucified on Passover. He is in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. He is raised on the Sabbath, and then the next morning, before sunrise, while it's still dark, Miriam, John, and Peter go to the grave, and it's empty before sunrise, before the goddess of fertility Easter sunrise service and child sacrifice service is done in the Tammuz caves in the Hinnom Valley. He is already up. Now we've got the day of Yom HaBikurim. Yom HaBikurim, the day of first fruits. And then we count 40 days, and this is what Luke tells us, that he was seen of his disciples for 40 days up in the Galilee, and after he's in the Galilee, he comes back to Jerusalem from Bethany, and now, chapter 24, verse 51, Yeshua ascends into heaven. And this guy, these people writing this thing, they think it's all over with. And now we've got some loosey-goosey stories about Jesus here. These people are such idiots. And that's why we get such bad translations. We get him ascending into heaven in Luke chapter 9, when we have to wait 15 chapters until he finally does it. Ladies and gentlemen, until we have the chronology, we don't even know how to translate the words. And until I published, and many of you have in your hands, one of the 1,000 versions in the manuscript version, after that was in my hands, I finally then knew how to translate some things that Yeshua said, because I finally, after 40 years, had everything in context, and wow, the things that opened up. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for the adventure of your lifetime. This is Yeshua's personal training to you. This is Yeshua's personal dialogue with you. You are going to be trained right along with his disciples. You are going to understand, because until you have time, you don't have cause and effect. Until you have put every single incident into the vice of linear chronology and you've squeezed out all the religious hockey foddy that has been added by people who don't know what they're talking about. Until you do that, we don't have the real message of Yeshua. This is the gospel of the kingdom. This has to get out to the world, and this is our opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, stand with me, get this word out, because it will change your life and it will change every person who reads the introduction. You read the thesis and it will take you places you've never dreamed before. Now, I would like to close in prayer for this evening, and we're going to say goodbye at that with all of our people out on the internet and cyberspace. Yivarechecha Yehovah v'yishmerecha. Yair Yehovah panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Yehovah panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom v'shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Sar shalom. Yehovah bless you and keep you. Yehovah make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yehovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the name of Yeshua, the Messiah, the Prince of Peace. Amen, amen. We'll see you back here tomorrow in cyberspace. Good night. Shalom.